What's up, guys? We meet again. It is July 28th, 2019, the first day of Shark Week. It's one of my personal favorite times of the year. I don't know. I've loved Shark Week ever since I can remember, ever since I started watching Shark Week, since I was a little kid. So for that reason alone, leave some comments in the chat. Let me know what your favorite shark is. Mine's, of course, the great white. Ever since I saw Air Jaws, I've just been blown away. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check it out. It's been completely awesome. But nevertheless, we're going to be talking about stocks as well this week, and quite a few of them. There's definitely ones to watch out for. I've been transferring, looking at some bigger board stocks as well, just because penny stocks have been so slow lately. So looking for other opportunities, and stocks like BYND, and also anything that's really kind of related to any of the metal type stocks. Gold in particular has been something that I've been trading a lot lately. And so I'll give you my opinions as to how those will play out. And then go into some more penny stock related stuff as well. But before I go any further, I just want to welcome you to my channel. Thank you so much for joining tonight. I appreciate the view. If you could give me a thumbs up just for giving you some free content as it relates to the stock market and what to watch out for this week. And if you're new to this channel, I would certainly appreciate it if you subscribed if you want to see more content such as this. So Own the Chaos is the whole premise of the channel here is to basically get you to be your own boss. Now, whether that's in stock trading, which is how I was able to quit my job in the first place, and what's kind of evolved and developed this channel has also been just straight up entrepreneurship. So I started a barcast with my business partner, Christian. And we put up a video every Monday just talking about how we're able to run our businesses. And if you're not familiar with what mine is, it's over at WeTradeHQ.com. The links are down in the description below. It's absolutely free to join. We have almost 5,000 members from around the world learning and growing and celebrating each other's success. So that no matter what you're trading in the market, WeTradeHQ is the place for you. So it's absolutely free to join. Go check that out. Links down in the description. And let me go ahead and welcome some folks here. What's going on? Alan? Matt, good to see you. Quick Red Fox, what's going on? Raquel, good to see you here as well. Matt Fuller, good man, good to see you. Culebra, Muiz, Shark, what's going on? Bob, good to see you too, man. And Mark as well. So good turnout so far. So again, let me go ahead and just share my screen as per the usual. What's going on? Funny Depression, good to see you, man. All right, so as per the usual, I always go over some of the big board stocks first, and then I'll transfer over into the penny stocks. Now, as I'm speaking with you guys, if you have any tickers that you would like me to take a look at, I certainly would be happy to take a look at those for you to give you my 2 cents. Now, again, these aren't something that I'm telling you what you have to do. It's just kind of my observation, why it's worth watching, and you kind of make the decision from there. Now, as far as BYND goes, now I'm on WeTradeHQ.com. I basically just searched BYND up here in the search toolbar. Again, this is the platform that I've created with my partner Jake, and you can search your favorite ticker. You can talk about it amongst your friends, and look at the live trading view charts. And it's a really cool platform. So I'm looking at BYND here. I actually played this on Friday. Made some decent money on it. Had a nice move down to 224. Let me actually move this. I'm going to minimize you guys for a sec. So I felt as if 224 was going to be a good area of support, in the morning on Friday. And it came back, actually went up, came back down a little bit just in time for me to be able to get in after the market opened on Friday at 224. Went all the way up to 238. I really felt like it was going to break 240. It just couldn't do it. So then I sold at 238. And so what do I think is going to be going on for tomorrow? So I actually did not hold BYND. The reason being is because they have earnings coming out tomorrow, and I never hold through earnings. When I'm trading big board stocks, I just can't bring myself to do it. It's quite the gamble if you do. But nevertheless, it is uptrending very nicely. Now, if you look at the KST indicator, no sure thing indicator, and RSI, as well as Bollinger Bands, it's pretty overextended. Even on the 30-minute chart, it's pretty overextended. So even if they have positive earnings results, there's potential that this could still continue to trend down after this huge run up. Lots of times there's a buy the rumor, sell the news, and this could definitely be one of those situations. Just going to have to wait and see what the earnings reports actually are and how well or not so well they beat their expectations, and basically watch how the market reacts pre-market and into the open. I think that one of two things is going to happen. Either BYND is going to blow earnings expectations out of the water, and this could go back up as high as 260, or they're not going to do as well as people thought they would, and then this could even come back down because it's been so volatile. Like, we go back to the daily chart, it's been so volatile from its lows at 45 and has gone all the way up to well over almost $240 a share. I think the volatility here speaks volumes, and that it's going to really probably come back down below 200 if maybe even 160, 150 range if earnings aren't what people were expecting them to be. So be on the lookout for that. That's why I told my folks within my morning mentorship that I wouldn't suggest holding this over the weekend in anticipation of earnings. Earnings are very risky to hold through. At that point, you're basically just gambling, holding through earnings like that. And so this wasn't something that I was willing to do. It's all about managing risk with stocks that are this volatile, obviously penny stocks in particular. And so I think that BYND definitely just going to be on the watch list. See how it reacts, see what the earnings reports provide us, and kind of go from there. Let me close that out. So that is BYND in a nutshell. I still think 224 is a good support level. Going back to the 30-minute chart, I do like 224 there. And I think maybe even maybe even 233. If it doesn't come back down, if earnings are positive, maybe 233 ends up becoming its new support. But I still like it around 224. It came back down there a couple times and touched that. So I like it a lot. 224 seems to be a good solid support level. I can draw that here for you. Again, these trading view charts on WeTradeHQ.com are freaking killer. I love everything about them. So again, BYND, look out to see how the earnings reports turn out tomorrow, and then make your decision based on how the market reacts accordingly. Be checking with you folks. Hey, Celeste, what's going on, Rain? Isn't the market cap a little high? Perhaps, but it hasn't stopped it from running. I mean, the hype is real in this thing, and so I'm not betting against it if in fact earnings get blown out of the water. If they blow the earnings out of the water based off of expectations, I think that it could continue running. Just given the hype on this thing, it's been unbelievable. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes. So next one I want to talk about, I'm going to actually pull this up on my Thinkorswim platform. And just because I particularly like to play the ticker symbol, the actual ticker symbol GOLD. And so looking at GOLD, it's actually had a little bit of a pullback here, but it's pretty certain that the Fed is going to be cutting rates. And if the Fed cuts rates, then that's probably going to make people a little bit more nervous. So when it comes to playing metals, anything that's any stock that's metal related, and we can take a look at even JNUG, I think that I'm still going to remain bullish on anything metal related, and gold in particular. I really do prefer playing gold related stocks. JNUG is just a gold ETF. So looking at the 30-minute chart on JNUG, it's just consolidated and found a really nice base right here around 76. Throughout the week, last week I was telling my folks within the morning mentorship that 78 looked to be like it was an okay support level, and it actually looked like I was a little bit off. So 76 seems to be the spot there for JNUG. If it can hold this support level, and come Monday, it starts to turn back up. Remember, we're going to look for confirmations on this. We're going to look to see if there's actually going to be a bounce off of the support level, and if there is, I think we'll start to see a move back up on JNUG. Probably if it gets back up over 80, we could see a nice strong move there. Now, again, as far as gold is concerned, which is what I particularly like to trade, it's just a ticker symbol GOLD, Barrick Gold Corporation. It's been pretty predictable. I could almost make a career out of trading GOLD here in the last couple of months. So with GOLD, looking here around $17, $16.90 seems to be the area of support where it's consolidating. And so again, just like with JNUG, I'm going to look for some confirmation here to see if gold will start to make a move back up. If it does, I think we could definitely see more highs, especially if the Fed confirms that they're cutting rates. And because what that's going to do is going to create a lot of uncertainty. People are going to be expecting a huge market correction if something like that happens. Any kind of economic disturbance is what's going to drive people to be buying up gold and even cryptocurrency. Now it seems to be what a lot of people are moving towards. If they're not comfortable buying up gold, and you'll see. And that's why I think Bitcoin is starting to make a little bit of a comeback because of some of the uncertainty with the overall economy. So if it bounces off of this $17 support, $16.90 is kind of where I really like it. Then I think that we could definitely see a move back to $17.50, $17.45 seems to be the tougher resistance. But $17.50 was the all-time high, and it just happened a couple days ago. And so I think we can see a nice little move on GOLD again, as long as we see confirmation that it's going to be moving back up. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on this and BYND pre-market to see how things are shaping up for Monday morning. Any thoughts on Pred? I'll be getting to that one in just a sec. First thing but just before I get to Pred or PRED, let me talk about IGEX. Now, IGEX has been making some pretty nice moves here. We're getting into penny stocks now. And IGEX has been on my radar for quite some time. The only problem with IGEX is that it just couldn't seem to get out of its own way. I mean, even with low volume, though, it's been making some pretty nice moves up. It's got a decent trend. If we go and just create a little bit of a trend line here over the last couple of weeks, you can see, or last few weeks, I should say, you can see it's still making a nice trend line, even on low volume. Now, this looks like it's primed to make a nice little move, and it looks as if they came out with filings just in the nick of time for that move based off of the chart. They came out with an annual report yesterday. They posted that, and I thought I saw another annual report for 2019. And then I came back here to OTC Markets and it was gone. So I don't know if they had to do some sort of correction or what. I was a little surprised at that. There was 2 annual reports here, and I was really surprised that there wasn't the second one that actually came up today. So I had today's date. So this one had yesterday's date on. There's another annual report that came on and had today's date. I was a little confused by that one. But nevertheless, it looks like they're getting themselves current. Lots of times when companies look to get themselves current, it's usually because they have something else that they want to basically tell the world. Lots of times they don't want to be putting out PRs without getting their filings up to date and current, because there's a lot of risk involved there with getting a caveat emptor symbol. I wouldn't go as far to say as SEC suspension, but depending on how outlandish their claims might be, if they don't have their filings all together, they're at much greater risk of disciplinary action if they start putting out press releases without getting themselves up to date. So might see a little bit of a pop from IGEX. I'm not expecting a ton. Right now, looking at the chart here on IGEX, I like it at 001. It's not acting like a 000 stock anymore after coming back up out of the trips. And so I think that 001 seems to be a solid support level. If it can hold 001, and the buying starts coming in right at the open, I think we could see a nice strong move to 002, maybe. I'm hoping anyway. And so I think, for me personally, this is actually one that I hopped into, not this past Friday, but the Friday before. I'm at 0012, so I'm not too crazy in the red, just a couple ticks. So just looking for a nice pop based off of those filings, and I think we'll see a nice move from IGEX. Especially if they get themselves current sometime this week, which it looks like they're trying to do that. And again, like I said, looking here, I could have sworn that it was said 728 and they had a second annual report up. So I'm not quite sure what was going on there, but definitely one to keep an eye on is IGEX. Looking at their share structure, it's okay. It's not awesome. It's not crazy out of this world. It's 1.5 billion shares of unrestricted shares. So I would assume that's probably close to what the float is. But looking at something that's priced at this price point, this share structure isn't awful. You know, it's not the worst I've seen at this price point. So could definitely move. Given the fact that it's been moving on pretty low volume, I'd say it's in pretty good shape, and it probably won't take much for it to get to 002. I think it's a good shape for IGEX. Let me just check in with you guys. IFMK, sure, I'll take a look at that one. Mr. Simpson, while I'm going over the other ones that I'm having on watch here, though, if IFMK, you can give me a little bit of a background why you see value in that, so I have a direction to go into, I certainly would appreciate it. Bob says, get some likes out there. Yeah, I would certainly appreciate a thumbs up. If you guys could help me support the channel, I certainly would appreciate that. And the next one I'm going to be talking about is PRED. Now, you guys know this is one that I've been very invested in, and I don't use that term lightly. You know, when I look into investing, you know, I'm a day trader. I primarily swing trade a lot of the trades that I make, and then I have a core group of, you know, in stocks that I see really good long-term potential in, and Pred just seems to be one of those. This is one that I've been very clear on the fact that I'm investing in this stock, which means I'm going to be holding it for probably a very long time, a year or more. Lots of people have had questions about it, especially since it had a huge short on it, and I mean, again, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, but I told folks that 160 was going to be the bottom, I felt, after the huge short attack on this thing. And damned if it didn't make a nice, strong move back up to near $3. It started to settle back down here. It's forming a really nice support at $2. And I think it's probably going to stay right around there until we see some sort of update on uplisting. I don't know what's taken so long. It's a little bit frustrating if I'm honest, but it doesn't shake my confidence in the stock itself. I still see a lot of long-term potential on this one. Again, you know, when we're talking about Pred, we're talking about the fact that Thermo Fisher, $35 billion company, is partnering with them. And we've talked about this before, but, you know, you can go to otcmarkets.com, and I got the wrong ticker pulled up. Hold on. We go to otcmarkets.com. Go to the news, you can see for yourself that they've indeed partnered with Thermo Fisher, and you know, somebody such as myself that's actually worked with Thermo Fisher personally, they are a very legitimate company, and I think that they're very solid. They wouldn't be partnering with a company like Pred if they didn't see the potential and the value in there as well. But they're announced global infertility research collaboration, so that's a huge deal. And as you can see, they submit the application for listing on NASDAQ at the beginning of May. You know, we're coming up on the beginning of August. Again, I'm not quite sure what the holdup is and what the heck's taking so long, but I think once it happens, people will be a lot happier, and you know, $2 will be a thing of the past. So just keep an eye on this one. And again, like I said, this is something that I'm invested in long term, and I see a lot of long term potential on something like Pred. Let me check in with you guys. NTRR, yeah, we can take a look at that. Made a nice move on Friday. Really a nice move all week. So, okay. Next one I'm going to be going over is going to be CNHC. So CNHC is a Richard Cheng shell. So if you guys aren't familiar with Richard Cheng and his history, if you go back and look at DEVM, the ticker symbol DEVM, that made some monster moves. LCTZ was a former ticker that Richard Cheng had. And basically, if you guys don't understand what custodianships are or shells are, so Richard Cheng, if you could think of him as like a used car dealership. If you are owner of a used car dealership, you go to auction to buy cars that were, you know, that are being sold at auction, and think of the car that you're buying, that car dealership is buying at auction, as a company shell. So there's no business going on, but all the financials, you know, are there. It just needs to be cleaned up a little bit, right? It just needs to be shined up and polished and ready for sale, just like a car dealership would do that for you know, a car that they buy at auction. They're going to fix it up, make it look nice and shiny, ready for sale. If they're a legitimate car dealership, they'll do everything the right way. And so as far as Richard Cheng's concerned, I think he's one of those guys that does do it the right way. And so CNHC got some decent volume here on Friday. Actually, we haven't seen price this high on CNHC since April. And before that, it was February. So CNHC, if you can see, the price action here was quite interesting. So I'm wondering if something might be coming down the road here very shortly as far as CNHC is concerned. I think we could see a nice move here as it, it went up 72%, but I wouldn't put too much emphasis on that as it's priced at 0.2. Given what the share structure seems to be on how quickly this thing moves. I played CNHC when, all the hype was going crazy on it back in February. Back here is when I played it. I actually got in at a pretty decent price and made out with some decent profit on CNHC, but now it looks like it's starting to become relevant again. And so I think that if it breaks out over 2, then we could see a nice move from CNHC. I think that something's coming down the pipe here, and we could see maybe some new developments on CNHC. Maybe Richard Chang has now found a suitor for his new shell. We'll see. But I think that this is definitely one to be worth watching this week. And see where it goes. Next one's going to be, actually, let me check in with you guys real quick. Hey, thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. I appreciate my thumb up warriors, my thumbs up soldiers. Thanks, Alan and Bob. I appreciate you guys. Your support has been always awesome. So yeah, give me a thumbs up, guys. You're getting some value out of this one. And I'd appreciate it. WMTM. Now, this is one that we've been watching over the last couple of weeks. WMTM looks as if a merger is just about complete on this one. So this is the latest from Clark County. The custodian has now negotiated an agreement with a merger candidate that will allow the company and shareholder to benefit from the continuation of the business. The shareholder meeting to approve the merger has been scheduled for July 29th, which is tomorrow. Assuming the shareholders approve the merger, the custodian expects the corporation will be reinstated with new management in the next 30 days. So, if we see new management from them, and we already saw, now that the Secretary of State, if you guys don't know, Secretary of State, the Nevada Secretary of State is the one that we would look at to see what's going on. But Nevada SOS has been down for quite some time. But we've seen some changes here with WMTM. It looks like they're going through a name change. And so once this merger goes through, I think after we hear about the outcome of these talks tomorrow is when we kind of really see what's going on with WMTM. Again, I think if the merger happens and it seems to be a very solid company, it's very valuable, we could see a move on WMTM to go to 10 cents. I think the potential certainly there, depending on how well the merger is and how it all looks. But again, looking at the chart here, coming down and being sold all the way down at 0.2, I think it's just really too low. I think that we'll start to see a move back up on WMTM, especially depending on the outcome of those conversations that go on tomorrow. I think that the resistance here is probably around 0.34. So 3.4 cents, if you will, per share is the resistance there. If it breaks out over that, I think we could see a nice strong move back over to 4 cents. And after 4 cents, we're in no man's land pretty much. So that's why I think it can make a strong move, at least towards a dime, if we get some good information from WMTM based off of tomorrow and how all that shakes out. So Monday's going to be a busy day for a lot of things here. So last one I want to talk about is DCGD, and then I can answer some questions from you guys. So DCGD, this is one we've actually been talking about since the beginning of the month. How crazy is this? When we were talking about at the beginning of the month, it was July 2nd. I remember it just like it was yesterday. Was when the merging news came out. It was sub penny at that point. We talked about it within my morning mentorship. I missed my first initial entry on DCGD. I've played it a couple of times since then, but it went from sub penny to 48 cents and actually had a high of 57 cents since July 2nd. We're still in the month of July. So in less than 4 weeks, this has gone up 50,000%. Unbelievable move from DCGD. And I still think it's got gas in the tank. So DCGD, they have a 1.15, this is the company that's merging into DCGD, 1.15 billion assets under management, 600 million under deposit. 100% budget control. So this is a private investment firm. Basically, they're just focused on providing funding for cannabis related companies. As you guys might know, that it's really difficult for a lot of cannabis companies to get funding because it's not federally legal just yet. Many states have it legal on the state level, but to get federal funding, it makes it really difficult. So GRN Funds is one of those companies that provides funding for these cannabis companies. And as you can see, a lot of value to be had here. So that I think, the 8K that came out, basically they want to, do a name change and ticker symbol change, all that good stuff. I still think that there's gas left in the tank on DCGD. I like it here as far as the support level is concerned, right at 48. So where it closed yesterday seems to be a decent, actually, I would say decent resistance. So if it breaks back up over 48, we could see a nice move back up over 50 and see where that goes. So my apologies for misspeaking there. I think that 48 is the resistance there. So if it breaks up over 48, we could see another nice strong move here. You can see RSI starting to heat back up, starting to curl back up here on the KST indicator. And so I think that DCGD this week, we could see some nice moves, especially if the name change as well as ticker symbol change goes through. And lots of people, a lot of eyeballs, I think, will, be looking at this one to see how they can make some decent entries and look at this as a longer term investment. I think DCGD is a real deal now, especially the way it's been played so far. So a lot of people that bought in down below a dime, most of those folks are probably out. I would be shocked if there was a large amount of shareholders that were still holding from sub penny or even sub 02. And so, therefore, I think that a lot of these folks that are up here in this range, even that bought down in the 20-cent range, they're probably newer investors. And so I think that DCGD, I wouldn't be worried too much about a huge dump fest. I don't think that would happen, but you never know. This is penny stocks after all. Volatility is ever present. So just make sure that you're managing your risk and understanding, your time horizons and stuff like that. Don't leave money on the table. Make sure that you're taking your profits accordingly, and I think you'll be just fine. DCGD, I think, is going to make a strong move, as well as all the other ones that I talked about today. And so that is it. That's all the stocks that I'm looking at. Let me check out some questions here. NTR, IFMK, that was the first one that I came about. Chart similar REKR and WKHS. So Mr. Simpson, if you're still around, hopefully you are. Let's take a look at it. So IFMK. Now I'm just looking at it from a. Oops, sorry about that. iFresh Inc. I'm just looking at this from a technical standpoint, and again, I'm going to pull up my three favorite indicators here. They're going to be the Bollinger Bands, and actually Thinkorswim doesn't have this, and we some folks within our WeTrade HQ community provided this for us for our Thinkorswim platform. So if you're interested in that, we have it within our morning mentorship. I'd be happy to give it to you in there. Relative Strength Index, these are the three that I use. So looking at this, I'm going to look to identify solid areas of support. So looking here, I would say that it looks like support on a daily chart is right around $1.54. So right now, it looks like it's pretty extended. I would wait for some sort of pullback on IFMK without knowing exactly what's going on with the company. I do a lot of fundamental trading too, but just looking at the chart, I would like to see a pullback somewhere down in the $1.60 range. If it comes back down to $1.60 and then you can get confirmation that it's going to be bouncing off of those levels and starting to curl back up, I think that you'll be in good shape. I don't know. I'd be hard pressed for anybody to convince me to buy up here at this level, given where it closed at on Friday. This is really hot, so this is screaming. As always, the name of the game is to buy low and sell high, and right here, right now, it looks like it's. I would be buying quite high up here in IFMK. So I would wait for some sort of pullback, and again, it looks like somewhere around the $1.60 range would be an acceptable area. Even if you're going to make a shorter term trade, gosh, that's a tough call. I would say probably $1.75. I'm still looking somewhere around that area, even on a 30-minute chart, to play this on some sort of dip. But buying it up here at this price, it would be a little scary if it were me trading it. Alrighty. IDNG looking good. Any thoughts on it? So IDNG definitely made some strong moves. This is Dr. Drew. Dr. Drew's with IDNG, and we can look it up on OTC Markets. IDNG came out with news that was actually pretty good. Pretty good news. Let's see. Came out with 8K, I believe it was. Yeah, late last week. Let's see. This was the last one. This is what I wanted. July 25th, company issued a press release announcing its entry in the agreement undescribed under capital. Where is Dr. Drew? There it is. Dr. Drew Pinsky. Sorry. I knew I was going to find it. Exclusive spokesperson for company Sharps Needles and Destructive Device. So he's working with his company. And so it's already ran, though, right? Does it have any gas left in the tank? So here's what happened with INND on Thursday. And I felt as if the gap up here was just way too strong. And I actually never played IDNG. Reluctantly so. Obviously, it continued to move. But I felt as if that this gap up was way too much of a gap up and that it wasn't going to move as easily because of that extreme sharp move upwards the first day they announced it. And so I was like, I'm going to back off on this one. I don't know if it's going to continue to really to move. And obviously I was wrong. Where's it going to go from here? Well, if they don't have any other catalysts coming out, it's probably going to taper off. It's probably going to pull back at some point. And so very nice move for those folks who got into this, especially in the 1.5 range. Most people were only able to get filled here around 0.15, and it went up as high as almost 3 cents, 0.29. Can it break 3 cents? Well, I think that it remains to be seen, but it's going to have to break over 2.7 again in order for that to happen. So if it breaks over 2.7, might go back up to 0.3, but again, it's going to be a tough battle from here only because we're going to need to see more catalysts, maybe as it relates to Dr. Drew and his involvement with the company. But I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go from here. When you see such a massive gap up like this and a continued run the very next day, it's tough. It's tough to say where it's going to go from here, especially, look at this. You go all the way back. This is back to May 21st, and we go back on a daily chart. When's the last time it was this high? You got to go all the way back to February. It's the last time that you saw this price point here. So, and it looks like after it got there, it made some pretty sharp turns down. So, just understand the risk here, buying up at this level with IDNG. I think the trade has already been made, my friend. Blades Incognito. Yeah, I see you, man. First of all, Blade Runner, you're a big man. That guy is, what, you said 6'10", right? Ain't no hiding. Ain't no hiding Blade Runner. Incognito. I love you, man. Always giving you a hard time. All right. Bill's just introduced federally legalized MJ. Yeah, but we still have to see it actually happen. What are your thoughts for PCTL? I think the trade's already been made on PCTL. Meat Popsicle Beyond Meats and Dunkin' Donuts, that's for sure. What's your take on JNUG metals after FOMC? I would say, again, they've been really predictable. I don't know if you were here in the beginning of the cast, FX, but I think that there's probably going to be some sort of pullback, but they cut rates, it's gonna go up. And I think that actually physical gold could see 2,000 if the uncertainty remains. So be on the lookout for that. I think that I know that that's a bold statement, but I think it could definitely happen. The last one that I'm going to cover for folks tonight is going to be NTRR. So a lot of my folks, including myself, got in the NTRR very early at 0002, and even in the teens as it came down here as low as 0013. We noticed that the dilution was basically starting to come off on this one. So let's pull this up on indicators here. And it made some really amazing moves. Moves that I actually didn't anticipate happening. It's the power of turning that dilution faucet off. I tell folks all the time, when you take dilution off of a stock, it moves so much easier. Looking on the daily chart, obviously you can see that it still looks pretty wide open. We go to the 30-minute chart, though, and it tells us a little bit different story. So I think that here's the thing. The dilution has to stay off. 0036 seems to be the next area of support. If it can't hold that, it's probably going to come back down to 002. So if it can continue to rise up over 0036 and go back to its previous highs, I think we could see a nice strong move from NTRR. But here's the thing. On NTRR, the dilution has to stay off. If we start seeing dilutive market makers come back onto level 2, and you can tell that they're actively diluting, NTRR isn't going to go anywhere. They came out with news. Let's pull this up. Came out with news on Friday, right? Latest move towards acquisition gives NutriCorp a strong retail brand identity and booming hemp CBD market. Everybody and their mother's getting into CBD, so it was a nice, okay press release. We'll see where it goes from here. I think honestly, they're probably putting a lot of these PRs out because they will be diluting again eventually. So my suggestion would just to be make sure that you're keeping a watchful eye on level 2 and looking at your chart and saying, okay, can we actively see dilution occurring again? And if the answer is yes, it would be my personal opinion to stay away from NTRR. The move's already been made as far as I'm concerned. You know, a lot of us folks got into the morning mentorship, got into it well below 002 and even at 002 to make a more than 100% gain. So I think that it made a really strong move. And yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Again, like I said, if the dilution can stay off, definitely has the potential to keep going. But if it comes back on, might be in trouble there. So let me check in with you guys again. And so, yeah. That is it for me, guys. If you guys have heard me talking about the morning mentorship several times, and you can see folks that are within this chat right now that are actually in the morning mentorship, and I hope a couple of them attest to just how great it is. I know that a lot of folks get a lot of value out of it. So if you're interested in being a part of a group where where I go live with them, I go live with them via Zoom. So it's a little bit different than YouTube. You actually get to speak to me, you know, via voice and video chat. So I go live with folks from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern time, basically looking for potential stocks that I see making some sort of move throughout the day, making a plan and executing that plan. I also coach folks on how to exercise discipline, manage risk, all that good stuff. So if you're completely new to penny stocks and everything that I was talking about today was completely over your head, well, I suggest you to go check out the morning mentorship. The links are down below, and if you want to go check that out, and I would certainly love to have you. So other than that, guys, if you still want to take advantage of the the free content here on YouTube, makes no difference to me. So if you would like to, the only thing I would ask of you though is just to give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more content such as this, please subscribe to this channel as well. And as always, guys, that's it for me. I will see you all before the bell, and B Smith is out. Have a good one.